Good Thursday morning to you guys, and thank you for joining me on another Trooper Steve on patrol. We are in beautiful Seminole County, so I'm pulling off into a parking lot real quick because I want to talk to you guys, and I want to have a moment of understanding, a moment of two different modes of transportation coming together and understanding we're all just trying to get somewhere. We're all just trying to use different means in order to get somewhere. And I'm talking about vehicles and bicycles. I am making sure that the Seminole County deputy wasn't pulling up next to me because they were behind me the whole time. This is what we're talking about today, is the intermingling of bicycles on the roadway and vehicles. But there is a specific question that we are tackling, and I want to demonstrate. And then in return, we're going to get to see a few different things. So you're traveling on the road, right? You're driving, and whatever's in front of you, right? Right now I'm in a parking lot, but I'm being fancy using the front camera. You're getting ready to make a right turn into wherever you want. But between your travel lane and that right turn and the curb, there is a bicycle lane, a designated bicycle lane. Who's supposed to do what? Are you supposed to yield before you make that right turn? Is the bicycle supposed to slow to you? There are a lot of do's and don'ts with stuff like this, and that is the hard part, because a lot of people feel they have the right of way when in return there are steps that we got to take, because sometimes the car might, sometimes the bicycle might, and it all depends on your location. Because is there a designated bike lane? Is there not? And I think that's the big question, because if you have a travel lane, it's a travel lane no matter what, whether it's for a vehicle or whether it's for a bus. We have those here in Central Florida. Whether it's for an autonomous vehicle, what a time to be alive, or a bicycle. But the lane belongs to them. So there are a few along 434, a huge designation for bicycle on a very busy roadway. And I thought we would use this as a real good example to show who is supposed to do what. So let's show you, because I'm going to pull over at some point. We're going to hop out, and then we can get an up-close look at this. So let's get going. Again, we're here in Seminole County. Thanks for joining me this morning. I know you probably could be doing a million different things, but if you are here on clickorlando.com or News 6 Plus, or joining me here on the News 6 app, I want you to know it is greatly appreciated on this beautiful day. Of course, we're in a parking lot, so you got to watch for pedestrians. And we're going to let her cross. And there's a shopper crossing sign. So, yes, private parking lot, but it's warning you that, hey, slow down. There are people out here. And they got places to go just like you do. But they're going to have that right away. So we're going to come out here, exit out this parking lot on 434, talk about some bicycle lanes. Because you got to think about it. People get around so differently now. Scooters, personal electronic people movers, whatever they're called. There's so many things, hovercrafts, that we've got to be really careful. And gotta love, my producer's messaging me. So we are gonna come around here. So I'm right here at 434 and Orange Avenue, out by where the Target is at. And there is a designated bicycle lane on both the north and southbound lanes of 434. So if you look to the right here, you'll see that marking. You'll see those double dash, and then it goes solid. But there is a obvious designation between other lanes, and that is designated for bicycles. This wouldn't be there if it was just a turn lane, right? So if this was a turning lane over there, you just have a solid. So that would be designated for a bicycle. So think about this. As you're traveling in this direction, if I wanted to cross over these bike lanes, what would I have to do? I'd have to kind of do the same thing I would do in a normal situation, right? So as we're approaching and we're headed south here, we have these lanes. Before I decided to get into any other travel lane to my right, I would have to yield to anything in that bicycle lane. Meaning, if I just cut across and there was a bicyclist there and I hit them, I'd be violating their right-of-way. Same thing here. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to pull into the turn lane here. If I indicated, I have to look back to make sure there wasn't a bicycle before I crossed over. That is a really big deal, because how often, now that I bring this up, are you thinking about that, right? That's not something that we think about often, and when we only do when the crash occurs and it's explained to us after a bicyclist has been hit. And meanwhile, the bicyclist has done absolutely nothing wrong. So I want you to think about you. You're in a travel lane, right? And as you're traveling out there, you have someone just merge right into you, comes right over. It would be the same as the bicyclist. That driver would be required to yield to anybody in the lane. You would have to do the same thing in this situation. So here, this is another prime good example. I have a bike lane in front of me plus travel lanes. I got to make sure the bike lane's clear, and I got to make sure the travel lane's clear. There are markings along the roadway here indicating that there is a proper bicycle lane. Therefore, they get the same rights as you do in that travel lane. But also, they're required to signal just as much as everybody else. Trying to find a good place to where we could stop, talk, and I can get out and show you a little bit of the bicycle lane. I think I've found a good spot here. Yeah, right out here, Seminole State College. And this is really important because a lot of students take their bicycle to school. So making sure that you are aware could ultimately save someone's life, right? So let's make a nice little U-turn here. I want to find a safe place to pull off because I do want to get out and show you exactly kind of what I'm talking about. I think I've got a good spot we can do that. So if you're joining us, we are talking bicycle safety and vehicle interaction, and making sure that everybody is safe and you know, having a really good relationship with each other. On second thought, I'm not going to park here because I think the school will probably be like, what's Trooper Steve and his truck doing out here? So we are not going to park here. Just so, you know, keep the peace, right? I'll find, there's another parking lot up down the road, and we'll go over there. That's a nice minivan. I never thought I'd say that. So yeah, we're talking about who's supposed to yield when there is a designated bicycle lane, and part of that is if there is a lane for a certain type of vehicle, then they have the same rights and responsibilities as you do. Hear what I said there? The same rights and responsibilities as you do, meaning they've got to use due care, they've got to use caution, they have to be careful. Who is they? They are the bicycles. They are the driver. They is everybody out on the roadway. I found a good spot, better spot, and then we'll show you. So what did we discuss? We said when traveling, there is a bike lane to your right. You're traveling, you want to make a right. If there is a bicycle in that travel lane, do you have to yield to them? Meaning, do you have to wait for them to clear the lane before you make the right, or do they have to stop? You have to stop. You would be the one required to stop before them. The same would be, think about it, if someone was in the lane to your left and wanted to go to the right, you're in a lane. They would have to yield to you. They're not just going to come over and hit you, right? Just like you would not come over and hit the bicyclist. At least in theory, that's what we're trying to prevent. So we're here in Seminole County doing on patrol bicycle yielding and non-yielding. Who has right, who has doesn't. You can see it's clearly marked. They have signs along the roadway that say marked crosswalk and things like that. So trying to find a good place for us to pull off. Wow, that motorcycle is cruising. Unnecessary, right? Let's see. Okay, we're gonna pull off to the storage lot over here real quick. Tag not visible. Hiding behind the tire there. Ticket. I tell you guys, the trooper thing never will escape me. Just because it's so frustrating sometimes. Alright, so we're gonna pull off right here. And I can show you guys exactly what's going on. Trying to get turned around. Sorry guys. It's not the easiest thing in the world. This landscaping guy's like, my goodness, what are you doing? Alright, cool. So we're gonna hang out here real quick, make this as smooth and quick as possible, so you can see what's going on. So we're gonna hop out here. I'm gonna show you the physical bicycle lane and then explain it as we drive, in a way, in a sense, right? And all of this, of course, is making sure to prevent any crashes and to make sure people feel safe on the roadway. You wanna make sure, whether you're choosing to be in a car, choosing to ride a bicycle, that everyone understands what their responsibility is, what their role of safety is to other people. And I think that's really, really important. We come out here and we forget that we kind of are in this together when it comes to commuting and transportation, that we come out here and forget about everybody else. You gotta think about them because someone's gonna get hurt. So let's hop out real quick and check this out. This is what I'm talking about. So we do have a designated bicycle lane out here, and you can see it is well over 3 feet, probably about 4 foot wide shoulder here. There are signs along the roadway marking a bicycle lane, so you can see it very clear. As you're traveling here, for example, we're going to use this car as a perfect example. If this vehicle was turning into any of these spots, right, wanted to make a right turn and turn right where results 1 is, if there was a bicycle in this travel lane, they would be required to yield or to allow that bicycle to pass before cutting it off. It would be the exact same situation if you were in a travel lane and someone wanted to move into your lane. It is a lane, and I think that's what we're forgetting about. It's just because it belongs to a bicyclist does not mean it's less of value or the car has the right-of-way over it. The same thing would be just like for a bus or an autonomous vehicle or a train. It belongs to them. hope I'm making sense with this. They're all along here 434, and even the markings are dashed to indicate, hey, there is other traffic through this area. So like if we come over here, if a vehicle was traveling in the right turning lane over here and wanted to get in the right turn lane, see those dots? They would be required to stop before turning if there was a bicycle in the lane. I hope this makes sense, because there should be no going away from the definition of travel lane just because of who it's assigned to. Hope that makes sense. See vehicles out here. I've seen no bicycles this morning, which is nice, but it is their lane. And that's another thing. It's not your lane to pass in. It is not your lane. How often do we come up on a traffic light and we see that extra space and we're like, oh, let me just use that. Nope. Improper passing, not your travel lane. Same would be if, here's another thing I just remembered. Oh, love it. For the bicycles. If you're in the bicycle lane and you're approaching a traffic light and that traffic light is red, you cannot then just slide into like the side of the road and go through it. You have to abide by the traffic signal. See where I'm going with this? The rules apply to everybody when they're on the roadway. So let's hop back into results 1. So part of understanding the roles is understanding what the marks on the roadway are. You've got to understand the language so you know what it's telling you to do. And in return, you've got to understand that if you're in a travel lane, that's your lane. The bike lane's their lane. Same rules apply, right? So, hope you guys enjoyed this little explainer. I kind of like stuff like this because it gives us the opportunity to tangibly explain it, see it, go out on location, and hopefully prevent a crash or someone getting seriously hurt down the roadway. Central Florida is, or Orange County alone, is the #1 for vehicle versus pedestrians, and every single crash is avoidable if we have some kind of common courtesy, knowledge of the language of the law, and then the willing to follow it and understand. My gosh, that car's flying. And understanding that, hey, if we don't work together, the stuff's just going to keep happening. So hope you guys have an amazing Thursday. Please drive safely, get to wherever you're going this morning on time with some distance, no stress. Wear your seatbelt, of course. We're going to get out of here. Make sure you tune in News 6 at 9. That will start at 9. And I'll see you guys there. Hope you guys have an amazing day.